As candidates ramp up their campaigns for the upcoming election, a new poll from the American Cancer Society shows that local and affordable cancer care is a top priority for Ohioan voters. The surprising new numbers reveal that the vast majority of residents want lawmakers to crack down on access and cost barriers. Our Cassidy Fury spoke with the American Cancer Society's Ohio Legislative Ambassador to dig into what these numbers mean.
Whether it's preventative screenings or saving the life of a loved one, healthcare is front of mind for Ohioans this election season. A new poll by the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network reveals 83% of Ohio voters want affordable care closer to home, and 91% agree that healthcare policies should make it easier, not harder, to get screenings and care. For ACS-CAN board member and legislative ambassador Vince Marchetta, the stress of a diagnosis is a pain he knows all too well.
When someone hears those three words, "you have cancer," you can't help but think not only what kind of treatment will I get and will I be cured, but will I be able to access that treatment? Will I be able to access what will provide me the opportunity for a cure? And that seems to be somewhat eroding with regard to access to affordable health care.
Advocates say that erosion is hit hardest in rural communities and Southeast Ohio's Appalachian region. Budget cuts have pushed many local hospitals to the brink, forcing cancer patients to travel critical miles to save their own lives.
You think about somebody that's in the Appalachia area down in Southeast Ohio, and there just aren't hospitals that are close. There's also an issue with just proximity. Their closest healthcare opportunity may be 40, 50 miles away, and that's just not practical.
The nonpartisan group is using these striking poll numbers to lobby lawmakers in both Columbus and Washington. They're also advocating for tobacco prevention bills and tobacco tax increases to lower the state's cancer rate and save an estimated 12,000 lives. Marchetta says the ultimate goal is legislation that ensures every single Ohioan has a fighting chance, no matter the zip code.
The simple answer is that zip code or socioeconomic status should never dictate what kind of health care you get. So in a perfect world, there are healthcare systems close by to everybody in Ohio, regardless of where you live. And those facilities are able to provide the kind of treatments that are necessary in order to find a cure, regardless of what it is.
ACS-CAN is now encouraging residents to participate in their nonpartisan Cancer Votes program to make sense of health policies and demand health equity. Advocates are reminding residents that voting is the first step to ensuring these reforms remain a priority for lawmakers. Reporting in Parkersburg, I'm Cassidy Fury with WTAP News.